we are towards the end of August. Just past our halfway point of our season, which started at the beginning of April with Texas 70.3 in Galveston. Just gonna do a little recap.
Yeah, checking in on our thoughts on how the season has gone so far for each of us. Safe to say, both of our experiences this year have been complete 180s. But we'll share our thoughts here at our mid-season update.
Texas 70.3 in Galveston was an exciting race. It was the first race on the new bike, so I was excited to test it out and see how it really performed in the race. Very happy with it. Another big high note for Galveston was that it is my 70.3 PR race. After Texas, we did Lubbock. A lot of headwind, a lot of tailwind, a lot of crosswind. Still came in with a solid bike. I think it was about 245 on the bike, so it's still solid. Run, the lack of aid stations on the back side of the course kind of took me down a little bit, so I faded a bit on the run, but still overall really good race in Lubbock. Boulder, that was where I shined right there. The Boulder run wasn't my best run, but I still had a really good takeaway in that race. At about mile 4 on the run, it was hot, closer to the sun, full sun, no reprieve, but there was a guy that came running up behind me, and we stayed together for the remainder of the 9 miles. I think he and I were each other's rabbit. I didn't want to stop because I knew I was facing him. He didn't want to stop because he knew he was facing me. Doesn't mean that I didn't want to stop, but I didn't. And it proved to me that even when it is hard, I can still keep going. Boulder 70.3, I may have dominated that bike course, but I think the biggest takeaway for me was proving to myself that on the run, when it gets hard, I don't need to stop. I can push through it and keep going. That run in Boulder may have been my biggest lesson learned of the season so far.
So 2 races left in the season. Obviously Augusta is where you got your focus, but you've also got Indian Wells. So if you could paint a perfect scenario in these final 2 races of the year, how would that play out?
Perfect scenario, I'm gonna get my golden ticket. And then we're gonna be looking for accommodations in Finland. That's the #1 goal of the season right there.
As I said, it's definitely a tale of 2 seasons between Caitlin and I this year, and you know, we've been doing this ever since we met together. So that's been hard for me, just struggling all year. And obviously coming back from injury, and you know, that was nothing I could do about that, but just do the rehab and come back as smartly as possible. But I'd be lying if I said it didn't sting that we're not running the same paces, we're not close in a lot of disciplines right now. Even though we don't compete with each other, it's always meaningful to be able to keep up and push one another, share the experience, and you know, a lot of training runs, a lot of races. You know, I'm just so far behind, and that's hard because it's a constant reminder to me of how far I still have to go to try to come back. I went into Galveston knowing it was a race just to do and to get my way to the finish line, however that would be, knowing it wasn't going to be a race for me. It was going to be a swim bike and then whatever the run would be. So Galveston, even though I got to finish, and I'm eternally grateful that I did, wasn't a great experience for me. riding the new bike for the first time, yes. But the race in general was really tough. Thought I had a lot of time to dedicate and put into Lubbock, getting the injury behind me. And it just turned out to be that the legs, again on the run, weren't there. And so another disappointment, because I thought I did everything in the training block that I was supposed to do and still didn't quite get the results I wanted. I know I wasn't 100%, but I feel like I'm better than what I'm performing. Boulder was racing for the pure joy of it. I think that was the first race all season that just felt good to be there. Obviously I had higher expectations. Turns out it was a brutal day in Boulder. My wife is a badass and she proved it with her time. And you know, I came up short again. But the best I can do is to put it all behind me, which I've been trying all season, and focus on the next. I'm excited about Augusta. It's one of those bucket list races, and I'd really like to put together a race that I know I'm capable of. On the other side of that, I do have to be realistic and contend with the possibility that maybe I'm just not there yet. But I know I'm a damn good triathlete. I just need a few things to go my way, and hopefully the last 2 races are salvageable with better results, more on the level of what I expect for myself. At midpoint of the season, 2 races to go. A dream scenario for me would be having 2 races I know that I'm capable of. You know, I was consistently at or below the 6-hour mark a year and a half ago. Obviously, again, the injury is a big factor into where I am right now, and that's what I have to deal with every day. Every day I train, every race I race, and not using it as an excuse, but it's my reality. So if I can keep getting healthier, keep having good training, there's no reason I shouldn't hit my goals. But I also have to know and be realistic that it might not be this season. If there's any one takeaway this year, it's that you find out who's really there for you. When you get injured, you find out who really cares and who's really got your back. There's a lot of crickets been there. There's been some supporters, but if you're not a pro or if you're not elite, yeah, it can be pretty lonely. And I won't lie about that. I do this for myself. I do this to enjoy it with Caitlin. I do it to represent Team Saunders and doing things the right way with class and pride. And, you know, I had to put behind a lot of the pain physically and emotionally from early in the year, the joy that was lost. And now I'm gonna enjoy the rest because I'm remembering why I do this. And triathlon makes me happy. I love the sport. I love motivating, inspiring in whatever way that is. And if I don't get the results, just learn more lessons. Go back to work. Figure it out. I'll get there. I know I will. All right, I'm sorry, I did not mean to be a Debbie Downer, but I do think it is important to be honest and authentic, and sometimes we struggle. But I'm glad I got this one next to me. That has helped. And, you know, there'll be a day when the results are better. So we'll move on with the show.
I think we are both excited about the next 2 races. Big reason being, we are meeting up and meeting new Insta fans that have turned Insta friends. So some we've already had the pleasure of meeting, some we'll be meeting for the first time. Either way, we're stoked about it and can't wait to get into the community that we love so much.
And speaking of community, we have a website if you want to check it out, teamsaunderstry.com. We've got some race reports. Boulder is coming, we owe you that. We've got some merch. If you don't mind, buy a little something, help us out. We're totally self-funded in these videos and our social media. We are not sponsored. We do it purely for the love of the sport and sharing it, although we are open to sponsors, so hit us up if you want to sponsor 2 wholesome, positive, energetic, attractive young women.
As always, thank y'all so much for watching, following along, and being a part of our journey. See y'all next time.